Now, since today's dungeon is just a continuation of the dungeon from the previous episode, I'm going to talk about the spell colleges from the game. The game features an astounding 16 spell colleges, each one of them with 5 levels with 5 available spells, and of course to get to the highest level of spells you need to have at least 18 willpower. Yes, the basic stat for mages in this game is willpower instead of intelligence. You can combine willpower and intelligence to make a quasi-effective battle mage, but it's much easier to just have a pure DPS necromancer. I say necromancer because the game can be broken with just the first level in the black necromantic school, but I'm getting ahead of myself. For today's rant or lecture or conversational piece, I'm going to start with the most basic spell schools in the game: air, fire, earth, force, and water. Force being electrical, the basic elementals, and black and white necromancy. Now, all spell schools feature 5 possible spell selections. The first one, the one that binds the elemental schools together, is that the first spell is always going to be about raising a stat for a few seconds or a few turns. Air raises constitution, fire raises dexterity, which again is the most important. Force makes something like a shield around the caster. Water raises beauty, and earth raises strength. So as you can see, the best course of action for a battle mage that wants to compensate instead of stats to go for spells, he can focus himself into raising intelligence, raising willpower a little, and going for this so-called elemental spells. I'm lying a bit because there are 20. There are 20. No, there are 10 main stats. Yes, it's madness, but that's the game of Arcanum. There are 10 stats, so there are 16 schools, so yes, there are other spell schools that will feature a stat buff as your first spell of choice, but I'll go over that later. Now let's go over the basics. Air has got the second spell will be to create an area of effect gas. It doesn't do absolutely anything, it just lowers the hit chance, but then again, it's already ridiculous by the amount of hits the amount of blows that are traded in a regular combat makes it less than useful. Third spell is it's a spell that protects the caster. It pushes the creatures away. The fourth one turns the caster into a water elemental, into an air elemental, and the fifth one summons an air elemental. Now fire. First spell raises dexterity. Second spell, which will be the same as a possible grenade that you can make, and that we will be making later, is a spell that creates a wall of fire between the target creatures and yours, but since your AI is so darn fantastic, they will go through the fire and kill themselves on this. The third spell, it's a regular fireball, and again it will be less effective than the first spell from the Black Necromancer school. Fourth spell turns you, the caster, into a fire elemental, and the fifth spell summons an elemental. As you can see, this is a trend. Now, water. First spell raises your beauty. Second spell makes a fog, a mist around the caster that prevents him from getting shot, reduces the chance to be hit. Third, it's an ice lance, or it's the equivalent of throwing ice lance. Fourth, turns you into a water elemental, and fifth one, it summons an water elemental to your side. And finally, strength Earth, sorry, raises first spell, raises your strength. Second, it throws a stone at you. It summons a stone to be thrown. Third spell makes a wall of stone appear in front of the caster, but it only affects one tile, so the enemy can effectively just waste two more points of action just to go around the stone, just a delaying tactic. Fourth and mostly useful, one of the most useful spells, it turns you into a golem that we have seen before. And fifth, it summons a golem to your side, an earth elemental, but it's for practicality purposes, so we'll just call it a golem and get on with it. Now, finally, the force spell, force being electrical, it's all about electricity. First spell of the college, it summons a shield around the caster. It just raises its armor class and resistances a little. It increases it, but it scales with the caster. So I don't remember the numbers right now, but it's one of the few spells that actually scale with the caster. Second, it throws Thunderbolt. No, not Chain Lightning, just Thunderbolt, one character. Third spell, it creates an electrical barrier around the caster. It works just like a trap, an electricity trap in front of the caster. For spells, although it's called a bolt of lightning, it's chain lightning. Well, it's just a stronger version of the level 2 spell. And finally, disintegration. Although it would make more sense to be this a black necromantic spell, it's just it's yes, it's the same as the D&D spells disintegrate. It erases the creature and it erases the creature as well as its equipment, so it should not be used liberally if you like to loot creatures afterwards. If it's just the many beasts that roam the game, go ahead. Now then, we are now reaching the end of this dungeon. Just have to kill these few dragons over here. We'll be getting the dragon's blood from here, and then we'll be and the rest of the video will be what's his name, the NPC, talking about his life story. But since he's voice acted, we've got to respect that. Now then, I'll talk again in the next video.
Have returned with the blood. Please, pour the blood on me. Use the blood on me. Ah, yes, my flesh is restored. I'd forgotten the pleasures, the feelings, the rush of blood running through my veins. It's ecstasy. Me? I'm Torian Kell, warlord in the Grey Legions of the Darien Ka. How many years has it been? All of this and you, so unfamiliar. I don't know. I was a warrior, raised from the grave to serve in the undead legions of the Darien Ka. We fought a great battle with what was it, so many years ago, and I am all that is left. Alone, so alone. Forgive me, I owe you a debt of gratitude. What question did you have? Of course. What would you like to know about the Darien Ka? The Darien Ka was the ancient order of the dead, formed by the disciples of the great necromancer Kurgan in the years following his banishment. They were a secret society, unknown for years, who practiced the arts of dark necromancy. Perhaps things are different now, but the practice of the dark necromantic arts was forbidden for many years. The Darien Ka lived among the shadows for centuries, wielding their dark magics behind locked doors, uncovering the secrets of the spirit worlds, soul poisons, the raising of the undead, speaking with spirits beyond the grave. There was a great schism in the order. Within the Darien Ka were an order of assassins. They were called the Malokian Hand, and for centuries they were the silent weapon of the Darien Ka, a deadly defense against the world and its prejudices. But one day, the Hand turned against the order, and there was war between them. I never knew what happened to cause that rift, but because of it, the Grey Legions were raised. The Grey Legions were a great army of the undead, raised by the Darien Ka as protection against the Malokian Hand. Our sole purpose was to eradicate all traces of the Hand so that the Order could continue. 10,000 strong we were, fearless and of one mind, standing upon that battlefield, the darkened sky reflected in our black, burnished dread armor, the stamping cavalry on their shadow stallions behind the endless rows of the stone-faced pikemen. It was cold, but we had no breath. The air was so still. The Hand. Yes, the Hand. The Hand were the greatest warriors of their time. Quick, deadly, precise. They stood across from us, on the opposite ridge, lightly armored, faces masked, their archers armed with elven great bows almost as tall as they were. And fire, stranger. So much fire. Oh, yes. There was a battle the likes of which Arcanum had never seen, perhaps will never see again. The Hand threw themselves against us, we without death, time and time again. They severed the arm that held the sword, burned the body which held the arm, destroyed the souls within those bodies. The Hand, you see, were themselves not unlearned in the ways of magic. Yes, the Grey Legions fell on that day, but so did many of the Malokian Hand. A few soldiers from both armies stumbled off the battlefield and were lost to history. The Darien Ka were never heard from again. As I said, there were a few Grey Legionnaires who survived. Because we were undead, we walked Arcanum for centuries, trying to stay hidden from the eyes of man. But the flesh, even the flesh of the undead, cannot last forever. Little by little, year by year, our earthly shells decayed. Yes, and I was fortunate. Do you see the piles of dust scattered here and there? Those are the last remains of my companions, dead, but not dead. You see, their souls are still trapped here on this plane, forever tied to their earthly remains. A curse. A cruel, cruel curse. There is nothing I can do. The dragon's blood pool can restore the flesh, but even it has its limits. Nothing will ever raise my comrades from the dust. They will live on, without voice, without dreams, without vision. Now, I don't know. I don't belong here. It seems nothing like the world that I remember. All I know is war and death. Even after all these centuries, I still feel the bloodlust, the need for battle. But mostly, I wish to free my remaining companions as I have been freed. Perhaps I will try to find the means to do so. Come with you? But why? We are of different worlds, stranger. I am a deathless warrior, raised to shed blood in defense of a long-dead order. All I have left are my memories, and my hopeless quest. Perhaps you are right. I will not follow one who travels the path of righteousness. Was there anything else?